I've put now about another, I guess, I don't know how to measure it, but say 3 wheelbarrows worth of mulch on here, which in my case happens to be seaweed. And I've dumped on top of that some more of my soil pile, and then will throw in more of the growing medium before I throw the last of that soil and more mulch on. The mulch will basically go on last, and so this is ready to get watered, because I basically want to combine this soil as much as I can. The best way to do that is to have water mix it all with the biochar that's below. So this should be nicely wet, and then I can put on the growing medium, which will stick to it, and keep it wetting it so that that growing medium doesn't blow off, and then have another layer of mulch on top, and then that will be finished. So this is essentially done. You can start to see the shape of it. I've put the around the edges, I've placed in upside down pieces of sod all along here. It has some structure, so this can be mounted quite high without falling over. And as you can see, it's about 50-60 centimeters above grade here on this side, and on this side about 30, and over here only about 20, and it'll go down on this other side where I'm taking the dirt from down to, between 0 and 10. So that's uphill, so those plants up there will get about as much drainage as the dry ones in the middle. So I'll figure out what works best where, but you can start to see this boomerang shape, and right in the middle, a low area where you can walk in and reach right to the center of it without having to step on anything, which is important. So those 2 cross logs there and there make that center. The top one is obviously a biochar log, and the lower one is a rot log, and over time, when I'm done, this will roll in there. That will be the other one. It will be more contained, like a raised garden bed, but without wasting lumber. I think it's rather foolish to build these beds out of kiln-dried lumber, and certainly treated lumber, when you can do just as well with logs, and the logs, as they break down, rot, biochar will actually provide you some soil nutrients. So, if you're in really tight spaces, I can see some advantages, but when you're trying to do it all from the woods with as few inputs as possible, this is the approach I advise. Big logs will take a long time to break down. They'll petrify on the outside, rot and char on the inside, and they'll do what you want. And you could just roll another one up and expand the bed somewhat. So I don't like having, narrow rows only 2 feet apart, not that tight on space, and the advantage of not having to use anything from a fossil-fueled lumber mill and a possibly unsustainably managed forest is a huge plus. So that's what she looks like done, and what I have done just on the other side is I have added some of the biochar and more of the seaweed and more growing medium to this side, so it's essentially all covered up. You can still see the char sitting up there in this plain sight. You don't really want it to be. You want it to be under things so it stays wet. I'll deal with that when I move the growing medium on. You don't want to cover up any plants. There's a lavender, which is still visible. There's a sage, which is still visible. And over there, some sage, chives and things. And just try to keep your plants from being buried, because they do still need this sunlight to grow. And especially watch these low things, like this low thyme here and this low oregano. Basically, they will be better off if they get a little sun in this growing period. So there you go. Not much more to do with this other than throw growing medium on. And I may wait to do that until I can get some hen manure, which should be mixed in with it and with other soil, so that it makes somewhat a lump. There's a big lump right there of growing medium that I'm not going to break apart until I have the other stuff to mix it with. Rain can get at it if it wants, but it's not going to blow away while it's like that. So there's Hugel 2, or Hugel 2, if I'm going to count them in German, and Hugel 1 over there. And this is the one, as I mentioned, the other one's on top of the well, so it can be infinitely watered. This one, I'm going to try to minimize how much watering I do, because the water in there doesn't go back into the well. And it does, however, have a nice slope into it, grade that should dump most of the water from about 3 times its area directly into it. It's one of the reasons why I've kind of left it permeable around the bottom. I don't want it to be tight, airtight. I want it to take water from the surrounding area directly in. And I have to decide how I want to move these rocks around. They'll probably get turned into some kind of henge, because if you're going to do techniques like this, then it pays to kind of advertise that you also know magic, and then people will not come and steal your vegetables. Okay, bye.